So if they had telephones then, the phone would ring from Abraham Lincoln to Jefferson Davis in the South and say, President Davis, this is President Lincoln, and we need what you have. And President Davis says, ain't our problem, it's your problem. Well, it's your problem now because we're going to come and get you. And we're going to take everything you have, and we're going to call it the Civil War and say it's over slavery. Well, it's a well-known fact the governor of Maine had 65 slaves. So
it wasn't over slavery.
It wasn't slavery. I mean, that's a nice history thing, but that's just another rewrite of history.
But it was a commerce.
It was commerce. It's always about money. In that context, Lincoln then suspended the Constitution of the United States in 1861, and the Civil War was declared. Now, with that suspension comes in what we now know as executive orders. If you trace back executive orders, the first one was written in 1861. The only way they can write an executive order then and now is if the Constitution of the United States is suspended. So, therefore, we come back modern day. If you mention your constitutional rights one more time in my courtroom, I'm going to put you in jail for contempt, because there is no such thing. Okay? So now we need a new pledge. Lincoln, to his credit, figured it out, I believe, before the end of his term. And that's why he was killed. First thing he did was print greenbacks. And he was going to repudiate the debt and issue currency of the United States with no interest. Okay, that was his reorganization.
Yeah.
That was his reorganization plan. Okay, a bullet got in the way of that. Interestingly, 100 years later, another president tried the same thing, and he got killed too. His name was Kennedy. That's how all that ties together. Kennedy printed U.S. notes, and he was going to issue those. Lyndon Johnson's first executive order was to rescind that order that Kennedy had written to issue U.S. notes. Now, if you go then to 1860 and 61, we got to make a new pledge. We pledge all the assets of the South. And in that comes the ratification of the 14th Amendment. In 1871, there's a government called, a corporation called the Government of the District of Columbia, February 19th, 1871. In 1878, the name of that corporation is changed to the United States. Now the 14th Amendment is here. The government of the United States, a corporation, is in place, and all the districts. You all live in the District of Washington, Western Division. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I did know that, but that kind of terminology is totally foreign to us.
Yes, yes. We don't think anything of it, but you have to look at Washington, District of Columbia. Okay? What is Columbia? What is that? Anyway, to get back to our bankruptcy story.
Yeah, that is a good question. What is that?
They pledge all the assets of the South. All the gold, all the agriculture, Everything. The South was paid for. They had everything. The North was bankrupt because that was where all the industry was. There was nobody, it was cold, there's no money, the bankers are squeezing them. So you go into bankruptcy again, you pledge all the assets of the South, and now you jump forward to September 17th, 1929. 45 days before October 29th, 1929. When everybody knows what happens then, the stock market crashes. Roosevelt gets elected in 1932, and the first thing he does for the first approximately 100 days is rewrite everything in this country. He stacks the Supreme Court to back every decision he makes as constitutional, but there's a problem. There's got to be another pledge made because we're still in reorganization. Now, if they've pledged the South, and in 1929 they recaptured all the land because all the farmers went bankrupt, and the banks held all the paper, what is there left to pledge? The only thing left is the people, 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 is the people.
Why do they hate us? They hate what they see right here in this chamber. A democratically elected government. Their leaders are self-appointed. They hate our freedoms.
Why the international terrorist movement hates us so much? Many argue that they hate us for our policies. It is my judgment that they don't hate us for what we do, but they hate us for what we are. We are open, tolerant, accepting of others, and this is diametrically opposed to what the fanatic terrorists believe in.
They reject our respect for life, for individual rights. They reject our conception of personal choice in the way we dress and the way we educate our children, in our choice of music and art, choices I should say. It's a completely different world outlook. And therefore you're absolutely right when they say that they hate the West, not for what it does, but for what it is. It is.
We are a target because of who we are and how we live. Our society, our diversity, and our values. Values such as freedom, democracy, and the rule of law.